Hello, you video game vagabonds. Ray here, and I have a quick riddle for all of you. What happens when you take an RTS game, try to streamline all aspects of it, and make it so your units don't defend themselves unless you're actively babysitting them? Apparently, you get a game with a loose allegory about communism and anthropomorphic creatures that eat each other. Before you get really scared, I promise it's not a furry fetish story, but it is tooth and tail. Oh man, Tooth and Tail is a game that I really wanted to love. Call it indie darling syndrome or just an interest in unique story ideas, but it looked so cool. To start, the game is about a society split up into 5 castes, 4 of which you're able to play as. You first start as Noble Bellafit? I don't know how that's pronounced. But anyways, you start as Ratman of the Longcoats. Second after that is Hopper of the Common Folk, aka the Communist. I think she's French. I don't know. Then there's the KSR and the Civilized. You probably get to play as them in the campaign, but I don't quite know. More on that later. Now the 5th cast, the unplayable one, happens to be the Swine. Okay, admission. I love how dark this game is. Seriously. See, the swine are your resource gatherers. You apparently use them to farm wheat, which only the swine or beasts eat. And after their job is done, they get slaughtered for the other creatures to eat. Yeah! Oh, you also eat the bodies of your fallen enemies. Yeah! I f***ing love it. What does this have to do with anything, Ray? You ask. Well, it turns out it's literally the jumping off point for the story. Upon clicking New Game, you're audience to a fiery speech from Bella Blackthorne about how the Civilized ate his son in front of his own eyes. By the way, as far as I know, this is the only spot where the voice actors get to show off how great they are, aside from the gibberish they say while you're moving them around. Unless it's another language and not gibberish. Like I said, I think Hopper's French. Back to how the game runs, though. As I mentioned before, it turns out the economy of this world is based on beast feed, wheat and grass, and civilized food, aka meat of other creatures. This causes problems for Belial of the Longcoats and apparently problems for everyone else. The meat you get from the swine is the only resource in the game. It's used in purchasing buildings that produce units automatically, which also costs meat. Now, Tooth and Tail throws a few interesting things into the RTS mix, aside from only one resource. First off, no cursor to move around the map. Instead, your cursor, with quotes around it, is a character you control using the WASD keys, or left stick if you're using a controller. Second, your mouse controls all of your units. Now, Ray, you say, that sounds like every other RTS game out there. Well, that's the thing. When I say everything, I mean everything. The only way to maneuver your units is to control your commander to where you want your army to go and then click left or right mouse button. Each one does a different thing. Right commands every unit in your military to rush towards wherever you just clicked. Left commands a specific set of units towards a location. See, this leads to a few problems. A single click moves units there, but you can't tell them what enemy you want to attack, unless you stand right next to that enemy and either hold down the left or right mouse button. This means your commander can die. This also means your units decide to stop defending themselves, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Back to groups. These aren't the ones you create using hotkeys. Oh no, these are predetermined groups set by the game, separated into the class of units that you're using. For example, the Distillery Brothers, drunk squirrels that know they're going to die so they get even more drunk, are only able to be called as a giant group or part of your entire army. By the way, did I mention that I love this game? No, seriously, I really want to love this game, and I do, even with all of its flaws. Because that's important, especially as I get into the stuff I don't like, and hope that it will change in a future patch. So part of the problem with the game is that every map is randomly generated based on a seed, even the campaign ones. The graphics are also a little hard for me to distinguish between where your character can go and where they're unable to go. A good example is during one of the first campaign missions, I thought I couldn't walk up hills. Turns out you can. Also, I know I'm an idiot, which is why I didn't say turns out I'm an idiot. Now, there are ledges that you can't pass, and the first time I came across them I was slightly... Okay, it pissed me off to a degree that no other video game has done in 10 years. Not even No Man's Sky made me this mad, guys. Another pain for the campaign comes in the fact that the AI doesn't have to follow the same rules as you. There are several levels where the AI has an infinite amount of food and spawns whatever they want. Oh, and that commander character you have to use to get around the map? Yeah, the AI doesn't need that either. There are even several missions where the AI can build wherever they want to. And this is why I didn't finish the campaign, by the way. Yeah, I know, I should finish it, but holy f***. A specific hopper mission pissed me off so much that I had to swear off the campaign until there's a decent patch. By the way, if you get on the mission, the hungry face of stiff wind and 2 artillery cannons spawn right next to each other, just quit. Do yourself a favor, restart the mission, because it seems like the artillery cannons don't have a minimum attack distance, which means they can attack melee units beating the snot out of them. Okay. Just deep breath. Deep breath. This game needs it needs a lot of polish, and part of that polish should really be focused on the random generation aspect of the game. Now for this, I thought I had OBS recording on my first multiplayer match, but go back to when I said I was an idiot. Anyways, after making food for one of the weakest units of the game, I ran over a hill and found my opponent, with barely any farms and no defenses. Yeah, that game lasted about 2 minutes. You know, there's a reason Blizzard has set positions for their multiplayer maps, and so stuff like this... No, be nice. I feel like if I keep talking, I'll end up sounding like I hate the game, and I don't. Remember, I said I love it even with all of its flaws. But, alright, Pocketwatch Games. A user on your Steam forums posted a decent list of suggestions. Look, they're on the screen right now. Just look. You know, I'd like to add on to this list. Let's start with letting me save my army configuration in the multiplayer matches. It's going to drive me crazy when I have to do multiple of them at the same time. How about make it so my units do something when they're being attacked? You know in StarCraft 2 what happens when Marines are attacked by a stealth unit? They move. Not sit there while they're slowly murdered. Make the ledges you can't pass over, especially the ones that aren't facing the camera, way more visible than they currently are. Those made so many of the early Hopper missions nearly unbearable. As it stands right now, Tooth and Tail gets a 6 out of 10. It has no microtransactions at all, don't get me wrong, but the sudden change from fun RTS to a frustrating and dull resource juggling, especially in Hopper's missions, just sucks the fun out of the game. While using your commander also seems like a fun and novel idea, its flaws become apparent very early on in the campaign. I'm going to come back to Tooth and Tail later. I know I am. This is a game where the developers really care. You can just tell that they care about their product, and I'm hoping it will change into something better. I mean, maybe I'll make a series out of it. Second chance. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I need to reiterate that I like this game. The multiplayer is actually really fun and something that I can get into. But I want to see where the story ends. I was hooked with... I'll even call him by his name this time. I was hooked with Belafield's intro and Hopper's plight, but Hopper's mission specifically just made me want to give up on the campaign entirely. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will make sure to get some reviews up, specifically Destiny 2 and a few other ones here soon. If you have any suggestions about Tooth and Tail's, like strategies and that sort of thing, let me know. Help me out. But that's it for today. I'll see you Vagabonds later.